And we need alternative fuels, and we need to find ways to be able to fuel our vehicles without something other than oil products.
Correct. It's the beauty of biodiesel is you can use any oilseed crop, ranging from castor bean to palm oil to soy oil to hemp oil, and create a fuel that is 90% cleaner, 90% less carcinogenic than standard diesel fuel. Same energy, but 90% cleaner.
Are they traveling all over the United States with the hemp car?
Correct. It's a 10,000-mile journey on the map, starting from Virginia, D.C., that's to Montreal, Canada, to Toronto, Detroit, down to Columbus, back up to Winnipeg, Canada, over to Vancouver, down to Seattle, down to San Diego, over to Austin, Texas, Atlanta, Georgia, Charlotte, North Carolina, and back up to D.C.
A lot of other countries, I think 30-some different countries in the world grow industrial hemp. But we're the primary market for almost every country in the world. The United States, we're the market. And so what an opportunity we're giving away, we're throwing away by not being a part of this industry. And think of how rapidly it could grow if we actually started producing this stuff here and developed some of those value-added businesses that go along with it, that will take that fiber and turn it into composites, that will take that fiber and turn it into high-quality clothing, into papers, into ropes, into what have you, that will take those oil seeds and turn it into some of those really high-end cosmetics that that the industry is so looking for, where you've got enormous potential profit.
First of all, the pharmaceutical industry doesn't want a person to grow their own marijuana. So if you grow your own, it must be bad. The petroleum industry doesn't want you to grow your own hemp seed oil because hemp seed was the first fuel for the diesel engine. The timber industry doesn't want you to raise hemp because they can make fiberboard out of it and a whole bunch of stuff like that. The pharmaceutical industry doesn't want you to grow your own medicine in the backyard, which is probably better than that you can get as a prescription. The alcohol industry doesn't want you to use marijuana. They'd rather you use alcohol and get cirrhosis of the liver or destroy your pancreas. And even doctors are sort of against the person growing their own medicine and using it in a rational fashion. They would rather prescribe morphine or OxyContin or some of the antidepressants that are causing people to commit suicide nowadays. So it's very interesting to note that cannabis as medicine has never killed anybody, never in 4,000 years of use.
Breast cancer kills more than 41,000 American women every year. Researchers in the San Francisco lab are working to shrink that number, and they're doing it with an unusual weapon, marijuana, or at least a compound from it.
And what we found is that this compound called cannabidiol was particularly effective at inhibiting aggressive breast cancers.
First, scientists at California Pacific Medical Center discovered a key gene which enables breast cancer to spread. Then they tested the pot compound and realized it could actually inhibit that gene's destructive path and stop the spread of tumor cells, and potentially do it without harming a patient.
We know that this compound extracted from cannabis is non-toxic in patients because it has already been used for different kind of disease.
The benefits may not stop there. Scientists say the cannabis compound may fight other aggressive cancers, including prostate cancer. The next step, animal studies, then clinical trials. So it may be several years before patients may benefit from a cannabis cancer fighter.
For one thing, the federal government still views marijuana, medical or otherwise, as illegal and has been cracking down on dispensaries that sell it. There are hundreds of such stores in the state, as many as 400 in Southern California alone. The people who run them are members of the state's latest entrepreneurial class, calling themselves caregivers. The feds call them something else. The Supreme Court has upheld the DEA's right to go after dispensaries, no matter what state law might say. Scott Imler is a minister in the United Methodist Church who's long been active in promoting medical marijuana. Here he is 11 years ago working to pass Proposition 215, the ballot measure that legalized it. So the law voters passed mentioned not only cancer and AIDS, but any other illness for which marijuana provides relief. A decade later, if you've got a note from a doctor, you can buy medical pot for just about any imaginable condition.
I have a deformity here and a great deal of pain and discomfort. They helped me with that.
There's a growing number of local laws limiting the number of dispensaries in a given area and the hours they can operate. But American ingenuity will always find a way. Kevin Reed was forced to shut down his San Francisco dispensary because of complaints from neighbors, so he simply went into the delivery business.
Green Cross Delivery, this is Michael. How may I help you?
Reed is up every morning turning out a new batch of cookies laced with pot, part of a delivery menu that includes marijuana strains for every taste. Snow White, Supergirl, Afghan Dreams, New York Diesel.
If you smoke something like this, it's just going to lay you on the couch and you really won't be able to work for the rest of the day.
Like many in the business, Reed is both caregiver and patient, smoking marijuana, he says, for pain relief.
If I don't smoke marijuana, then my arthritis in my back just starts to inflame, you know. It starts very mildly, but it just gets worse and worse.
His couriers fan out across the city, delivering their wares.
The road was good.
In theory, all the medical marijuana sold in California is grown by the patients themselves.
We're a collective, and what that means is our members grow it, they bring excess medicine here, and we provide it back to the other members. That way we have no entanglement with the illicit market.
Imler believes there are well-meaning dispensary owners doing their best to help the seriously ill. That, says Don Duncan, is his goal.
We just want to serve our patients and be discreet. Obviously, federal law is still a challenge for us, because until federal law changes, we're at risk from the DEA raiding our facility, confiscating our medicine, even arresting people.
They obviously know you're here.
Of course.
And you're concerned that on a whim they'll just decide to bust you.
They could.
They could, and they did. Not long after our interview, the DEA raided one of Duncan's dispensaries, arresting no one but confiscating the marijuana. Don Duncan got there in time to watch with pro-pot protesters outside.
They smashed the doors and they ransacked the building and took all of the medicine from the patients and left the place in shambles.
1974, the Heath-Tulin study. Ronald Reagan announces, the most reliable scientific sources say permanent brain damage is one of the inevitable results of the use of marijuana. Monkeys pumped full of marijuana, apparently 30 joints a day, had begun to atrophy and die after 90 days. Brain damage was determined after counting the dead brain cells of both monkeys who had been subjected to the marijuana and ones who had not. This study became the foundation of the government, and other special interest groups claim that marijuana kills brain cells. Here's what they didn't tell you. After 6 years of requests, how the study was conducted was finally revealed. Instead of administering 30 joints a day for 1 year, Dr. Heath used a method of pumping 63 Colombian-strength joints through a gas mask within 5 minutes over 3 months.
They suffocated the monkeys. What they did is they put these gas masks basically on their face and they pumped pot into it, but without additional oxygen. So after X amount of time, the brain shut down. Well, if you suffocate, the first thing that's going to happen is your brain cells are going to die with lack of oxygen. So what they did is they suffocated the monkey, showed all these dead brain cells, and then went on to associate it by saying that cannabis use causes your brain cells to die.
Now, as I see it, we are the proprietors.
You tell us where you put those weapons, or this will be the sorriest day of your life.
All right, we have 3 demands. They're very reasonable. When they're met, we'll be happy to return every weapon, every shell.
You say we. Who else?
Number 1, I want a meeting with General
Put your hands behind
Now,
your
you
back.
stay where you are, Sheriff.